I do have one other slide or one slide in there that I think is really important to look at. And so there's a couple of things. I mean, obviously, with rates going up, inflation is going up, which, if you look, there's two components here. The Since 2006, the number of houses that we've built has new homes has dramatically dropped. We way underproduced new homes that we needed, and the interest rate drop, the pandemic, the movement of buyers to buy really exacerbated that.
Is
And
that
we're
Scott? Is that stat slide with the graph on it?
Yep.
Here,
Yeah,
that one,
this
right?
one.
Okay.
So I went ahead and circled it. This is from the Fed Reserve website. So this is new housing starts. Basically, at the top peak was 2006, and then you go off a cliff of new home construction, and we hit a bottom, and now we've started to make our way up. But we've talked about this in previous shows. We're way under building for what we need to be able to provide the inventory out there in the marketplace. And new home construction makes up about 10% of the inventory that nationally that we put out into the marketplace. So we're nowhere near back to where the levels we need to be. They say it's going to take about a decade to generate the amount of inventory in new housing to make up for the shortage that we have. Then on top of it, you add into the fact of inflation going on. To building materials are up 19%, just call it 20%. So a home that cost 500,000 to build last year is now 600,000 to build. On top of that, when you got builders who use a revolving line of credit to buy those materials, that revolving line of credit interest rate is higher, so the cost to borrow those materials costs more. And you've now had interest rates going up, so there's less buyers in the market. You've now created a reason for new home construction builders or builders in general to build less homes. So that's another reason why I don't think we're going to end up seeing a big pullback in this market, because we've been, you're disincentivized to put your home on the market as a resale person and go and buy another one, and the builders are being disincentivized because the costs are more, but they can't really, justify increasing the price on the home of those because the buyers can't afford it because of lack of affordability that's happened with interest rate rises. So I see the combination of all these things just not really. I think we normalize, and I think we may flatten out. I see this being a market where there's a lot less sellers and a lot less buyers, and we're maybe balanced, but not a pullback.
Not a big pullback, not a huge price drop. I mean, notwithstanding an asteroid strike, so to speak, things are not. You're not going to see a dramatic change. If you're looking at buying, buy. If you can't buy, you don't. But like Heidi's advice, you have the best time to buy is when you need to move, when you need to live in a house and you can afford it. Dylan, is there anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, the last slide, slide 8, right? This is the sums it all up. This is the short story. So the thing we got to take away and always remember is recession does not mean housing crisis, right? And that's the last time we had a recession, we had a housing crisis. So that's what people remember. That's kind of like our short memory. But if you look at from 1945 to today, there's only been one time in really history of the housing market where there was a fall in prices, and that was in 2006 because of all of the crazy lending stuff was going on, right? That was a unique market because of how risky the lending situation was. And if you look at the trajectory of this graph, I mean, in 2001, we're kind of just back to where we would have been if there was no housing crisis in 2006, right? It has appreciated quickly, but we're just kind of catching up to where we should be. And so if you look back at this graph and these other, where it kind of tops off, those were recessions, right? The 80s recession, the 90s recession, those were times when the economy did go into recession. What did the housing market do? It kind of just cooled off, but there was still a small amount of appreciation and it just kept on going up. So housing crisis does not, or recession does not equal housing crisis. And so we could definitely be going into a recession. No doubt about that. That could be for the next 12 months, but that does not mean that the housing market's going to be dramatically affected by it.
So really, that housing crisis that's so deeply in our minds, and bring that grandpa, that housing thing that happened in 2008, which is so in everyone's mind, it's fresh enough where we could all remember it. That was literally a once in a lifetime, literally once in a lifetime historic event, right? That
Yep.
happened once, and we know the reasons why, and those reasons do not exist now. So basically, to put this in a different way, I haven't heard any reason to think that there's going to be anything like a 2008 thing kind of happening again. It's just too fresh in our memory, and it makes us think about that. But that's just not going to happen.
And it also matters how you look at the data, right? Because a lot of times I've seen on the news where they say, they show these, instead of showing um a line graph, they show a bar graph, right? And they show like last year there was 20% appreciation, and this year it's projected we're going to have 5% appreciation. So it looks like there's like this drop, right? But that's appreciation. That means this price still went up. It just went up 5% as opposed to 20%, right? So it's not prices dropping, right? I mean, but when you look at it that way, it looks dramatic because it looks like things are going down. But it just means that, I mean, all economic experts are saying, we're still going to have 5 to 7% interest, or 5 to 7% appreciation over the next couple of years. We're just not going to have the 20% year over year like we've been seeing.
Right. All right. Go ahead, Scott. We need to wrap this up, but this is important stuff. Go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, I mean, there's two components. One, who's going to create the recession on this? It's going to be the Fed, if anything, because they're raising rates to slow down the economy, which would slow down inflation, right? And no way any politician is going to allow, and the Treasury doesn't want to do it. The Fed doesn't want to do it, which is run the economy into the ground where we're losing mass jobs. No politician is going to stand for that, right? They're trying to do a soft landing. So I don't see it being done that way. The other way you got to look at it is 2008 was a real estate recession. It was real estate related. This is not. This is totally different.
Yeah. Excellent points. Excellent. Great stuff. Hey, let's catch up on some comments that have popped in. And Jones got, we get the one already. Let's see. We got Jones' comment earlier. Here we go. Dylan, that's why I want to be the last haole off the boat. Dylan had talked about this last haole off the boat syndrome. I feel Native Hawaiians should be getting the homes they were promised. Yeah, Joan, that's a whole story unto itself. It's a tragic story of Hawaiians waiting in line, literally dying in line, waiting for the homes that they were promised. And unfortunately, it's the government groups that's not doing what they promised. Anyway, that's a whole other story. It's many episodes many documentaries can fill that one, Joan. Many. She Who Laughs, love that one. Goatscaping, grazing goats to manage vegetation growth in an environmentally sound manner. There, goatscaping. There we go. Excellent. Thank you, She Who Laughs. Rachel says, thank you for hosting the show. Such a wonderful community resource in our decision to move to Kauai. Also, special thanks to Scott for your quote weeks ago. Something like, don't let perfect be the enemy of done. I've held on to this throughout our move. Well, Rachel, we're glad that you were a part of it, and glad that the first time I've seen you comment, so you were a lurker all these weeks, but we're glad that you're here and glad that you're finding benefit. Evil Hermit, I still love that name. Might have to get some goats instead of a lawnmower. Your neighbors might be upset with you because the goats are too loud. It could happen. It could happen. Auntie Joyce says, can't get goats here. Chris needs his Friday lawn mowing project. I'm sure Chris might want some goats. Nothing wrong with a little pet goat going on over here. And then we have Candace. We do that here in Oregon. Goats are amazing. What a cool way. What a cool way to do it. Hey, what about that question, Dylan, on the Airbnb and the tiny houses? Can you touch on that real quick for Evil Hermit?
As long as your neighborhood CCNRs don't prohibit it, you should be fine if you live on the property.
And CCNR is stands for what?
Covenants, codes, and restrictions.
So you need to kind of get so the advice is you need to kind of get a hold with.
Maybe an idea is we should bring my buddy Chad on, who builds tiny homes here. I just met with him yesterday because we're looking at the potential of doing a tiny home on a piece of property that we bought. But we could do an hour. Is a wealth of knowledge about the process and challenges and stuff. But yeah, we could talk about. Let's plan that. Hey, there's a lot of interest. It's my number 2 YouTube video of all time is my tiny home interview with him. So people are very interested in it.
All right. So, hey, gang, can you confirm or deny this? If we did a special episode on tiny homes, if we did it on a Friday, would you show up? Would you participate on an alternate Friday, not the normal every other Friday? Those are sacred. We keep those for us. But if there was another Friday, the in-between Friday, if we did a show on tiny homes, would you attend? Let me know. And if we get dry sides lurking silent, there you go. If we're doing it, we'd love to hear about you. Evil Herbert loves a tiny house. So and Uncle Jim says absolutely. All right, Uncle Jim. Well, we're gonna hold you to it, buddy. And Auntie Joyce says, yeah, she got the tiny episode love. So let's do it. All right. Look, we need to